This seems to be the opposite of that. It seems to be so many instances, I think, where wokeness is the opposite of what I grew up as liberal. Liberalism was, let's give the women an equal shot. This is let's put a male in the swimming pool with the women. I don't get it.
It's crazy. And meanwhile, trans people who genuinely want to compete in athletics and swimming or whatever it may be, they're the ones who are suffering here. They need to be found a way to compete fairly and justly.
Social justice warriors who are fond of governing by hashtag like to say silence is violence. And we know that because it rhymes. The words victim and survivor have traveled a long way from their original usage. The baby from the Nirvana album says he's a victim. He's suing Nirvana for lifelong damages. I never thought I'd have to say this to a baby, but stop being such a baby.
Maher and Piers Morgan teamed up in a hilarious and fiery exchange as they pushed back against a woke guest, Katie Porter. Known for their no-nonsense approach and sharp wit, the duo dismantled Porter's talking points about Riley Gaines and the fight to protect women's sports with precision and humor. Every argument Porter tried to make was met with Maher and Morgan's trademark sarcasm and logical counterpunches, turning the discussion into a brutal yet thoroughly entertaining showdown. Buckle up, this one gets heated fast.
The civil debate, nobody, including Riley Gaines, who I disagree with strongly, should.
What do you disagree with, out of interest?
I think that it should be up to sporting bodies to make the decisions about who.
Well, what has she said that's actually wrong?
I think that what she has done is try to turn this. We talked about people, using things to kind of get likes and get clicks.
It's not what she's doing. I mean, I've got no truck to Riley Gaines personally, but all I've seen her do is stand up for women's rights to fairness and equality. She actually competed against Leah Thomas, and it was obviously unfair. Leah Thomas won one of the races in the NCAA championships by 50 seconds against a bunch of biological females who simply couldn't keep up. That cannot be right.
Katie Porter started the debate by criticizing Riley Gaines and her efforts to protect women's sports, arguing that decisions about whether biological males should compete in women's categories should be left to sporting authorities. But Piers Morgan wasn't having any of it. He immediately fired back with hard scientific facts, pointing out the clear biological differences that give men advantages in strength, speed, and endurance. When Porter tried to defend her stance, both Morgan and Maher were ready. With sharp reasoning, humor, and Maher's signature wit, they dismantled her points one by one. What began as a debate quickly turned into a reality check, and Porter never saw it coming.
That I think our sporting bodies should be dealing with. And by the way, Riley is speaking up for herself, and that is her prerogative, and I respect her free speech.
She's speaking up for pretty much every female athlete in the world.
I mean, wasn't that the point of Title IX? Title IX in the early 70s was something that was it was a major event in feminism, that we finally have this law that says at colleges, right, and I think high schools too, but definitely colleges, women's sports have to be given equal to men's sports, so that women aren't and this led to the WNBA.
Katie Porter tried to claw her way back into the debate by painting Riley Gaines as a self-centered athlete chasing fame and records rather than fairness. But it was a weak attempt, and Piers Morgan shut it down instantly. With his trademark mix of conviction and clarity, he reminded Porter that Gaines isn't fighting for personal glory. She's fighting for every woman who's been forced to compete on an uneven playing field. He framed her mission as not self-serving but selfless, a stand for fairness and biological reality in women's sports. Maher nodded in agreement, and the tone in the room shifted. Porter's narrative quickly collapsed under the weight of reason and truth.
Seems to be the opposite of that. It seems to be so many instances, I think, where wokeness is the opposite of what I grew up as liberal. Liberalism was, let's give the women an equal shot. This is let's put a male in the swimming pool with the women. I don't get it.
It's crazy. And meanwhile, trans people who genuinely want to compete in athletics and swimming or whatever it may be, they're the ones who are suffering here. They need to be found a way to compete fairly.
Maher jumped in with a sharp, fact-driven rebuttal that cut straight to the core of the issue. He brought up Title IX, the landmark regulation that revolutionized women's sports by ensuring equal opportunities and fair competition. Maher laid it out clearly. For decades, Title IX empowered generations of female athletes to rise, compete, and create legacies of their own. But now, by allowing biological males to compete in women's categories, that hard-earned progress is being quietly undone. He argued that these policies don't promote equality, they destroy it. The room went silent as Maher connected the dots with surgical precision. His message was simple but scorching. If fairness no longer defines women's sports, then Title IX loses its very meaning. It was a true mic drop moment. Classic Maher.
Answer then.
I think there's one or two answers. I think they either compete against their biological sex, as many of them did before, or you create an entirely new category for transgender athletes. And then they're able to compete fairly. But what you cannot do is continue to allow more and more trans athletes to start decimating women's records, in some cases, irrevocably. It's just not fair.
Okay, I got it.
And on that point, I completely agree. The most logical and genuinely fair solution is to establish a separate category for transgender athletes, one where competition remains open, equal, and authentic. This approach ensures that no one has to suppress hormones, alter their biology, or compromise their health just to fit into an existing division. It's not about exclusion. It's about fairness and respect for everyone involved. Transgender athletes deserve a platform where they can compete without controversy, and biological women deserve the assurance that their playing field remains level. If that means transgender women compete against biological men or within a distinct division, so be it. Sports are built on fairness, not forced equality. Striking that balance isn't discrimination, it's common sense, and it's the only way to preserve both integrity and competition for all. Maher and Morgan pushed back on Porter's arguments with conviction, and it wasn't the first time. Watch as Maher dismantles more far-left ideologies with his trademark logic and wit.
Here's my 8 words people need to stop redefining. Hate, victim, hero, shame, violence, survivor, phobic, and white supremacy. Comedian Hannah Gadsby characterized Dave Chappelle's controversial Netflix special as hate speech dog whistling. Well, dog whistle refers to when someone puts things in code because they're afraid to come out and say what they really think. That's what you get from Dave Chappelle? He's afraid to say what he really thinks?
Among the many public figures who tread carefully around the woke mob, Dave Chappelle stands out as the rare exception. He doesn't flinch, filter, or apologize for speaking uncomfortable truths. With fearless honesty and razor-sharp wit, Chappelle has never shied away from tackling the most controversial subjects: gender, race, politics, and beyond. Despite relentless backlash and attempts to cancel him, he continues to rise, returning to the stage each time stronger, sharper, and more defiant than before. Chappelle isn't just a comedian. He's a cultural truth-teller who challenges narratives and pushes boundaries. In a time when silence feels safer than honesty, he reminds us that comedy's true purpose is not to conform, but to question.